Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told Israel's military to keep fighting with full force and has not responded to last night's ceasefire call. Earlier, the Israeli military said it hit around 75 Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon and the Bekaa region overnight. The Lebanese Health Ministry said at least 13 people were killed in the latest strikes, with more than 550 killed since Monday. The statement by Mr. Netanyahu, here seen leaving for the United Nations in New York, pours cold water on the US, UK and other allies' call for a 21-day ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. World leaders have been continuing to call for their citizens to leave the affected areas.
People can get out, they should, through commercial airlines while it's available.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams is facing federal criminal charges. Mr. Adams was elected to lead the most populous US city nearly 3 years ago on a promise to rein in crime. But he and a string of top officials in his orbit have faced growing scrutiny as part of multiple federal corruption probes. The indictment remains sealed, but would make Adams the first mayor in city history to be charged while in office. Mr. Adams released a video statement where he vowed to fight the charges and remain in office, asking New York residents for both prayers and patience.
But I have been facing these lies for months since I began to speak out for all of you and their investigation started. Yet the city has continued to improve. Make no mistake, you elected me to lead this city, and lead it I will. I humbly ask for your prayers and your patience as we see this through. God bless you, and God bless the city of New York.
An 88-year-old man who is the world's longest-serving death row inmate has been acquitted by a Japanese court after it was found that evidence used against him was fabricated. Iwao Hakamada, who has been on death row for more than half a century, was found guilty in 1968 of killing his boss, the man's wife, and their 2 teenage children. He was recently granted a retrial amid suspicions that investigators may have planted evidence that led to his conviction for quadruple murder. Sudan's army has launched artillery and airstrikes in the capital in its biggest operation to regain ground there since early in its 17-month-long war with the Rapid Support Forces. The push by the army, which has lost control of most of the capital at the start of the conflict, came ahead of an address by its commander to the United Nations General Assembly. Witnesses reported heavy bombardments and clashes as army troops tried to cross bridges across the Nile connecting the 3 adjoining cities that make up the greater capital Khartoum, Omdurman and Bari. 3 men in Benin, including a former minister and the man in charge of President Patrice Talon's security, have been arrested on suspicion of plotting a coup. Ex-sports minister Oswald Homke was caught on Tuesday while handing over 6 bags of money to the head of the Republican Guard. Investigators said Colonel Jimon Dieudonne Tevodre was being bribed not to resist a coup d'etat planned for Friday. Also detained was a businessman, Olivier Boku, a friend of President Talon, who had recently indicated he had political ambitions. Pope Francis has arrived in Luxembourg for a visit to one of Europe's smallest countries ahead of a weekend trip to Belgium, where he will highlight the needs of migrants. The tour is a rare European visit for Francis, who prefers going to places never visited by a pope or where Catholics are a small minority. It comes less than 2 weeks after Francis returned from a demanding 12-day 4-country tour across Southeast Asia and Oceania. And Tiananmen Square in China has been decorated with flower displays ahead of the upcoming National Day holiday. A festive 18-metre-high flower basket has been installed in Beijing's most famous square, a tradition that has taken place for 40 years. Other floral decorations, including over 20,000 flower boxes, have been installed across the city to celebrate the holiday that starts on October the 1st. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.